I observe it. I don't absorb it. And holy shit, like,
I love when I say things and I get that response from you. Hypothetically, you're talking about if you have a friendship and that person is comfortable sharing with you, blah, 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 blah. And then it comes time for you, like you've built up the friendship, you've built up some trust. Now you feel like it's safe for you to do some sharing and maybe get some support or whatever. And they don't provide that to you, or that they're not a good listener or whatever. Is that what you mean?
correct.
Yeah. I mean, like we have to gauge, like, I don't know if we talked about this before, or if I talked about it with someone else. There's many different levels of people that are in our lives. There's someone who, like, I would consider myself to not be a very good friend. And by that, I mean, I'm not going to check in with you regularly. I'm not going to call you. I'm not going to ask you to hang out regularly. But it's not because I don't care about someone that I consider to be a friend. It's not because I don't love them dearly. It's not because I don't value them. It's because my own personal energy needs me to protect it. So I can't handle doing something on a frequent basis. So that's what I mean by, like, I consider myself a bad friend. I'm not, I mean, I don't really see anybody's stuff on social media really anyways, but I'm probably not going to engage on social, because again, that's like that's giving my energy. So for some people that can come across as very off-putting, because they could feel like I don't care about them. But at the same time, I ask myself, are they walking down the road and texting me regularly? Are they checking in with me regularly? Like, if I do share, something that's going on in my life that's pretty damn significant, right? Do they follow up in a few days to say, hey, how was that? How was that doctor's appointment? How was your dentist appointment? How was your car appointment? Like, right? Like, how was that? Oh, how was your hair appointment? Right? How does your hair look? Show me a picture, right? So, but I don't take that as, for the people that I love and appreciate and care and value in my life, I don't need them to do that for me. I don't necessarily want them to do that for me. So because they don't do that for me, I don't consider them bad friends. I consider them respecting my energy and my need to be a low key person. But when you're with me, forget it. Like, my energy can be super high, and I could be chatty Cathy. I could bust out and dance and song. Like, you never quite, I mean, you never quite know what you're going to get with me when you're in person. But it's almost like when we're not in person, I'm an invisible person that you think you quite remember what I look like because you haven't seen me in so long. So I think depending on what it is that you need from a friend, and also understanding what that friend needs from you, that kind of helps us to gauge, like, yeah, like, that's what she's like. But at the same token, if you're hanging out with someone regularly and you're seeing them regularly and they're always like, okay, bye, right? But they never ask you, oh, hey, they never take a breath to ask you, like, oh, hey, Demi, how was blah, 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 blah. How did things go for you guys? Like, what, like, if they don't follow up on a previous conversation, something that you've shared, if they don't ever do that, they're just a taker. They're just a taker. And it doesn't mean that we can't have takers in our lives. If we enjoy hanging out with them and we have fun, we just realize that they're a taker. You go and you enjoy the activity, right? And you go home. You just know that they're not like an inner circle person. but it doesn't mean that they can't be in your life, right? Only we as individuals can decide that for ourselves. You know, I personally don't have any takers in my life. I think because I don't give much, so they don't get much from me, so they don't stay in my life, right? So, and that's what I mean by I consider myself to be a bad friend, you know?
I mean, I hear that. I disagree with that. But
Disagree with
because
what? Be specific. What do you disagree with?
with you being a bad friend, and here's why.
But do you agree with my definition of why I consider myself a bad friend? Because I don't reach out often. I don't show up for other people on a frequent, regular basis.
No. And here's why.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear what you didn't agree with.
Yes, no, and I'm like, okay, Colleen, you know this, but for those of you like, Demi, what the fuck? Like, why are you like struggling with this right now? Like, it's so, I feel like I never got a chance to really like get to know the human nature, until like I slowed down as an adult and be like, the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, what is it that I like? Right. And it's not just like, I don't mean to sound selfish in that, but how can you understand what somebody else likes if you don't even know what you like? You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So with that being said, no, Colleen, I disagree. And here's why, because I'm that same way. And I don't consider myself a bad friend because even though I don't reach out every day or they don't reach out every day, when shit hits the fan, and I mean like when life is stressing, or if you're going through a hard time or you do have a serious like health or something pops up, you know what I mean? Like those people that I like could be like, hey, this is what's kind of going through my mind. Not asking for like, can you come help? But like, can you just sit with me and listen for just a second? See what I'm saying? And I mean, from my personal experience with you, you've done that, and maybe it's just the different perspective, because the friends that I have, whether they are takers. Now, I love the definition you gave, and now that I'm seeing that, I'm like, damn, I do still have a lot of those.
They're one-way friends or two-way friends. That's the categories that we have.
Fuck. I got more one-way friends than I do two-way friends, if I could be fucking completely honest with you. And I mean, this is life, right? This is how it goes. And the more that we see this, the more that you see what you give and who takes, but who also refuels and gives back, like you can then start to say, okay, yeah, I do have a lot more takers in my life than I do, givers, or two-way friends. I love that. But at the same time, and I'm there for them too when I can be. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a big thing too. And I completely understand, like, life's for all of us and it doesn't stop. So there's some people that couldn't or couldn't because they had to hold their own. See what I'm saying? Like, I get that, but at the same time, like, you still reach out, you still check in, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of that like tipping point of bad friend, good friend. If you don't reach out, even if you can't be there, because you never want to, well, my own humble opinion, and I'm very humble about this, like, I carry a lot of darkness, Colleen. We've had this conversation, and I never fucking want to give that to somebody else. I don't. I can be pretty dark. I can get pretty negative, and I can get pretty fucking evil and mean, and I don't ever want people to see that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my immediate family, my husband and my son have seen that from me, and I hate it. I wish I could take it back, but I can't. I can only do better now, and now that I know that, I don't want people to see it. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like, even then, like, if I couldn't have been there for that, like, I'm still going to reach out to you after the fact. Like you said, like, Colleen, I didn't know you were getting your hair done, but last week when you popped on the podcast, I was like, oh, help, for those of you, I edited that part out, so none of you guys got to see my side of Colleen's hair,
I didn't
and
get
then
my hair done. I did it myself.
oh, well, see, I didn't know you were dyeing it, and then here I am excited, but see what I'm saying? Like, you still reach out, you still check in, you still touch base, but like, that's the tipping point for me. Even if you can't sit with me right there, but you still check in, and like, that's the tipping point. So that's why I don't agree with you. You know what I mean?
Maybe that means that you and I have a complementary energy, and that's why the person that I am and my energy is what your energy needs and can tolerate. You don't need someone that's going to be up in your business every single day. You don't want someone who's, like high drama and, like, and not to say that there's anything wrong with this, but, say you go to the food store and I don't know, 16 outrageous things happen. I don't hold on to that stuff. I mean, there could be someone screaming in the parking lot. There could be someone acting a fool in the line. There could be someone throwing chicken at someone. Like I'm going to observe it, but I'm going to observe it, but I'm not going to absorb it. So therefore, I'm not going to call someone and say, guess what happened at Market Basket, right? Like the minute I leave the store, that shit's gone. I don't even remember it. I might remember it if it's in context to something that I'm talking about with someone. I could be like, oh my God, you should have seen this mother and son getting in the shrimp fight at the store, right? Like, but I'm just not going to, right? So I'm such a low key person. So that's probably why you disagree with my perception of why I'm a bad friend, because our energies match. And I suspect even if we lived close to each other, like, I mean, hell, we'd see each other probably frequently enough. You know what I mean? Like, not every freaking day, but but maybe we'd get together a couple of times a week and go for a walk, right? Or once a week and go for a walk, like things like that, right? I'm sorry, but I'm not going to drive 14 hours, just go for a walk for an hour. I can't handle that, but
what do you mean? Come on, you can have your breaks in between your gas stations and coffee shops. We got cornfields. Well, there's snow-covered cornfields now, but hey, no, I get that, and I think that's a really I love that, and I think isn't that the beauty of growth? Because it wasn't like that before. Well, no, it was. Like, guys, like, I'm not saying like Colleen had to grow on me. It was never like that. I've always enjoyed her company. I've always enjoyed who she was. Honestly,
it was the donkey sounds. It was the donkey sounds that sold you.
Actually, it was the fact that I could yell and scream that there were goats 10 minutes after I woke up, and you didn't get mad at me for yelling and screaming that there were goats. Oh my gosh. But no, definitely the donkey sound is very impressive. But no, actually, like, I really loved the tattoos. That was the first thing, because it was like, okay, like, I'm a very different person. I can get, like, I like to sit with people that have done shit. You know what I mean? Have lived through shit, but done shit at the same time. And I'm like, nobody with that amount of tattoos has not lived through some fucking shit. Like, I know. Because
I really haven't lived through much. I mean, my life has been, my life has been pretty damn good. There's been some dysfunction, but I'm very grateful for everything that I've experienced in my life, honestly. Even the negative stuff, you know.
But the wisdom and awareness behind your tattoos, the
I think,
stories that come
oh
from
yeah,
those,
yeah.
that's kind of what I was saying too. I am very, like, I was very much that little girl, and I very much still am that little girl who is like, will you tell me a story? Like, I am that person, because that's just who I am. I love it. I want to know. I'm very curious. I'm very inquisitive that way. But at the same time, like what you said, I absorb it, or no, I observe it. I don't absorb it. And holy shit,
I love when I
like,
say things and I get that response from you.
oh my God, like it's like I can't explain what's happening in my brain right now, but it's like, you can see it. I know you can't, but like, it's so cool because gosh, Colleen, I was that observer every fucking moment of the day. I was like, what is this? And now like I've even noticed like throughout the years, like I'll even put 2024 and 2023 on the table. Like 2024 was the year that Demi started to forget shit because Demi just did not care anymore. I didn't, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I honestly didn't mean for it to happen. I just didn't have the fucking capacity and I didn't realize it yet.
Your brain
You know what
reached
I mean?
its capacity and you were ready for the next evolution.
Correct.
So it had to shut down in order to be reborn, essentially.
Jesus. Can you say that again? I want you to explain that because I have tried to explain like that to people, that whole brain shutdown. And the best way that I can, and like, have you ever overheated a car engine? You have to let it cool down. You can't keep pushing the gas because what are you going to do? You're going to blow the engine up. You're liable to have a car fire.
But some people do keep pushing. So yeah, so I can explain. I can't be sure what I said word for word, but you had, in all the years that I've known you now, you had done an incredible amount of growth and healing. I don't remember what year it was, 2023, probably 2022 into 2023. I don't really know. It's been so long since I've known you.
No, you're right.
You have done such an incredible amount of digging deep into that basement mindset, like many conversations you and I have had, which in turn I created things that I still use to this day, because of you. But you got to the point where all of that was in a good spot, like all of understanding what little nooks and crannies were now empty because you worked really hard to empty them, what ones were still kind of full, what ones were kind of half full, and you came to like a crossroads in your own healing journey, in your professional journey, and they no longer aligned because what you were doing when you were in survival mode worked for you because you were in survival mode. Personally, you were in survival mode. So that worked for you. That fuel of survival mode allowed you to connect with people, build a good community, build people that respect you and all that stuff, and really help people achieve and create good shit for themselves online, whether they're still doing it or not, we don't know. But you were really able to show up for people, but you were in survival mode. So then when you and I started chatting and I started sharing my philosophies and all that stuff, and then we met in Virginia and I did my whole thing, everyone was like, where did she come from? Because no one had ever seen me be that Colleen before, because I don't usually talk too much, right? I'm usually like the wallflower. So when I started talking, like I had no idea, like, because I'm just me. I don't know, like, so through all of that, you got to the point where you're like, man, I don't want to live in survival mode anymore. And this crossroads I'm at, this professional hat no longer works for me either. So you had to shut down take off that professional hat and bury it, because that path was no longer your path. And you hit full force, dig in those really deep parts of your mindset and really working on emptying that stinky chicken fat. And that was your shutdown. And that's exactly the time that you needed it to be a shutdown. And that's what happened, right? Was that a good enough explanation?
Yeah, now I can understand it myself.
And
because I knew what I was feeling. I knew what I felt.
And you had really worked very hard to build insight. And that, in all of my years of experience, personal, professional, that development of insight is something that most people never know that they need. For whatever reason, whether it's they think they're the cat's meow and they keep living life the way that they're living, and they think they're entitled to have these big emotional reactions and reactions and respond to the world the way that they do and treat people the way that they do. Like, more power to you, knock yourself out, right? Like, that's your path. You can continue down your road, but please don't ever build your road close to mine, because I don't want that energy, right? So insight, developing insight, I think number one is the hardest thing, because that takes, first of all, acknowledgement that there's something that you're doing that you no longer want to be doing. And that is the ingredient in people's life recipe that most people are missing. But you had worked so hard developing that insight while emptying that emotional trash can. And your body is like, okay, you've done all this work. You have a lot of deeper shit that you need to dig into now. We just need to shut down as much as possible. So that way your emotional system wouldn't overload. That's what you went through.
Man, it felt like it did overload. It did.
Well, it felt like it did overload because of a lot of things imploded.
You're right.
Things
it,
imploded.
Like, it wasn't just
it wasn't just your personal journey that you feel like you impacted, because when you stopped that professional path, things changed. So therefore, you were no longer walking down Demi Road. You were walking down 3 roads at once. And the 2 roads that were walking with you were impacted, but that's what happens, right? So, and then essentially, like, rebirth happens. You get to the point where that stinky chicken fat is gone, and it's not even just out in the dumpster. It's in like a landfill in another country at this point. Whales are eating it in the ocean, right? That's just gone. So, yeah.
I love how you explained that. I love how you explained that. And that rebirth process, like, I really want people to know, like, it's not some, like, I love how people refer to the phoenix as the rebirth process. But
beautiful symbol. Mm-hmm.
Here's what I need people to understand. In that process of becoming that beautiful, like, fire red, orange, yellow bird, you're burning. And that shit fucking hurts. Because just like you said, like, those 2 other roads that got impacted, you know, I like burnt my fucking self because of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
with guilt
absolutely.
And shame and all of that. And like, there are, this is kind of hard because like I want to talk freely to you, but I know we're recording and I'm like, anyway, there, you know, and that, I think that's one of the biggest indicators that creates that set, like, not creates, reinforces that insight that you just said. Because when you're willing not just to look at, okay, well, wait a second. I'm not very happy with this part of myself, but I'm also not happy with this part or this part or this part or this part. Like, I'm not saying you have to go full fucking force like I did. Please, for the love of God, don't go Mach 21 like I did. I don't recommend that for anybody. I mean, but at the same time, life's, everybody's journey is different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at the same time, like, you're learning that insight because you've already made that acknowledgement, right? Like, you've already seen, like, I'm not okay with that anymore. So there you're burning that first part of, like, why did I act like that? Why, there's an embarrassment and shame, probably some guilt too. But then, like, that outer layer of, like, oh fuck, while I was going through this, other shit was happening. And then that's like that full, like, that reinforcement, like, okay, wait a second. Yeah, I fucked up. I'm still learning. I'm still going through it, but, like, what's the words? I don't have the right words. Like, I know what it feels like in my body. It's almost like I don't, like, you can finally see that picture of the phoenix. There's no more flame. It's just there.
Enlightenment is a term
Thank you.
that could be used.
But how do you explain enlightenment is thrown around so much?
I think it's a like, you feel lighter. You feel lighter because the emotional, if you've done the work, the emotional weight, that negative emotional weight is gone.
And I feel like you're not just like, yeah, I agree with that. Like, you're lighter, but at the same time, like, it impacts, it's not just like you're walking around lighter. Like, you literally can do everything so much simpler. Like, breathing, this, even like self-care, like, taking care of yourself, actually sitting down, reading a book, actually sitting down or going for a walk, treating yourself to a cup of coffee, buying yourself something, whether it's something you need or not, like, just treating yourself, right? Like, all of those things suddenly become options. They were never
Because you
options
feel
before.
worthy. Because when you
Boom.
get to that lightness, you feel worthy.
Right.
And you no longer have guilt and shame about feeling worthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
I don't
that's
know,
all the emotional trash that people gave you along the way without your consent. It's all gone.
I woke up feeling a little bit of that today. That's kind of where I was going. Like, I've been seeing a lot of the patterns that I started out with, and you clarified my question very well. And, like, I woke up really feeling like that this morning. But again, I mean, I'm not even going to say what I was going to say, because I am where I am in my own journey, right?
Yeah.
I am grateful enough to be around you and other people who are further along in this journey that can kind of be like, hey, this is why this makes sense now, whether it's on this level of, like, body understanding or mind understanding, or just like the fucking bare basics. Like, I had a really good friend say, you kind of hit that limit where you've grieved enough. That's why you didn't cry. That's why you didn't hold back from saying what you really wanted to say. You know what I mean? So, like, we're all in our own little journeys of that. But I really woke up feeling like that this morning, Colleen. Like, it's just, I couldn't put the words to it,
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I explain this feeling? And I didn't want to be like, why do I feel like I'm floating? Because I'm not, I don't feel like I'm floating. I'm just like, okay, this is where we're at.
Yep.
That was the number one thing floating around in my head. And I hope that was enough to make a podcast. I don't know when you got to go, but I hope that made sense.
Yeah, made perfectly good sense. Absolutely.
You think it was okay?
And
I'm okay.
hopefully, hopefully, especially at this time of year when there's different pressures for different people for different reasons, hopefully people can take away, do something to protect your energy, regardless of what it is. Go to bed, go to bed 15 minutes earlier. Sit in your car 15 minutes longer at the food store, right? If anybody's tracking your location, they're going to see that you're at the food store. They don't know you're done food shopping and sitting in your nice warm car or your nice cool car, regardless, depending on where you live, right? Like, we all have time. Find some time for yourself and reset and protect your energy, right? Like, if that's the number one takeaway, then that would be a good takeaway from today.
I agree. I agree. And to piggyback a little bit on top of that too, because I know we all say we don't have time, but like Colleen said, we all do. I don't know who all is watching this, okay? But whoever is watching this, you are worthy enough to take 5 to 10 minutes for yourself. All right.
Yep.
I know all of our lives get hectic, whether you are a spouse, a parent, an employee, an entrepreneur, a business owner, a CEO. I don't care what it is. Okay. I don't care what title you carry or titles, right? We all owe it to ourselves 5 to 10 minutes a day to check in. Because if we're not all operating at somewhat of a functioning capacity, we're going to shut down, just like Colleen laid out for us here.
Yep.
Right. And from my lived experience, and I understand that we all have to live and go through our journeys and walk our own paths. But from my own lived experience of that, I would hate for anybody to have to go through with that. And it's as simple enough as taking 5 to 10 minutes for yourself a day and checking in.
Yep.